So let's chew on this whole thing. Joining us now, Fox News contributor and townhall.com editor Katie Pavlich, and the former White House Deputy Press Secretary and director, look at this, director of the America First Policy Institute Center for Election Integrity. Oh my God, that's way too long. Anyway, it's the great Hogan Gidley. Katie, because Hogan's already had 30 seconds on his title, I want to go to you first. What do you think of my proposal? Trump has been very good on vaccinations. Biden should go to him, thank him, bring him onto the fold, and all these goofball left-wing media tech operations should restore his account in order to broadcast in this quasi-emergency to get a vaccination. What do you think?
Well, first, I would say congratulations to Hogan on the new position with that long title. Good luck with the new job. But in terms of how the Biden administration is moving forward with this, should they have given President Trump more credit for Operation Warp Speed? Absolutely. Should then Vice President Joe Biden and then Senator Kamala Harris not downplayed the vaccine and not, questioned whether it would be safe because it happened under the Trump administration? Yes, but I think the ship has sailed on getting more people vaccinated, and this is why. Trust has been broken at the CDC and among between the American people and health bureaucrats, including Dr. Fauci and Rochelle Walensky, for nearly a year now as a result of them going back and forth, lying to the American people on a variety of issues. And the bottom line is that if you want a vaccine, you can get a vaccine. This is not an issue of people not having access to it. It's not an issue of people not knowing about it. It's an issue now of personal choice and personal liberty and whether people want to choose to go and get the vaccine. And also, you have the White House just today completely undermining the vaccine when they say, look, even if you get vaccinated, you could still get sick and need to wear a mask, which makes people think that the vaccine doesn't actually work as well as they've been told that it works. And it's going to be interesting moving forward to see how they target people, because in Washington, D.C., 2/3 of African Americans have not gotten the vaccine. So are they now going to go out and force these people who have questions about it to get it? And Joe Biden's approach just now, when a reporter asked, was to say, well, if you haven't gotten the vaccine yet, you're stupider than I thought you were. Oh, so if that's their message, cool, is to call people stupid,
that's not cool.
They're going to be stuck in this place for a very long time.
His statement was pretty good, but what you just said is very uncool. See, Hoagie, I sure agree with Katie. I don't think the CDC crowd or any of those fellow travelers have any credibility left at all. They change all the time. And when you say masking, you sort of say, well, why should I get a vaccine? I'm going to have to wear the mask anyway. But that's why I'm pressing this. Now, I know it's a bit quixotic, but major leaders, of whom President Trump is surely one of them, but I would include African-American leaders. I would include, if you can, a progressive leader, whatever that kind of thing is. Anyway, you have to go outside the CDC, is what I'm saying. And to some extent, you have to go outside the White House, because they've all blown their cover and don't have any creds. So that's why I'm pushing this argument. Let's get some people in from the outside to help sell this.
Sure. Well, first of all, if Joe Biden and the Democrats really cared about vaccinations and making sure this thing didn't spread across the country, they'd first shut down the southern border, where we've seen a 900% increase in people who have the virus coming across in recent weeks, first of all. Second of all, when you're talking about Donald Trump going out to the public and pushing them to get the vaccine as well, I understand the logic there, because it was Donald Trump and Project Warp Speed that actually got this thing online in record-setting time that had never been accomplished in the face of a virus that had never been seen before. It was absolutely incredible. But it ignores the fact that, as you guys pointed out, it's a vast majority of African Americans and Hispanic Americans who actually support Democrats who are not getting this vaccine. Wayne County, Michigan's a great example of that. 70% of the people there voted for Joe Biden, but only have a 50% vaccination rate. Because what we've heard from the left time and time again is that if you get the vaccine, the incentive is you can go back to life as normal, life as usual. You don't need a mask. Even though Joe Biden got the vaccine, he had a Zoom call where he's wearing a mask. Kamala Harris kissed her own husband while they were both wearing masks. So the whole thing is a disincentive for the American people to get the vaccine.
Yeah, fair enough. Agreed. But Katie, I think there's, shall we say, Trumpers on the right who, for one reason or another, some of it's political because Biden and Harris trashed Trump and his vaccine last fall during the campaign. But I think you get an attack on the right and the left, and I think you need to go into the minorities. Look, I'm taking this seriously. I mean, I talked to Kevin Hassett today. He follows this stuff. He's much smarter than I am. I don't think the Delta strain is going to kill America, but it's spreading all around the world. A lot of places don't have any vaccines at all. And so, therefore, the risk of it coming back around here is significant. So let's get vaxxed. So let's go to Trump and other leaders. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Larry, it's not that COVID killed America. It's that government officials, governors, mayors, people in the federal government decided to shut down the country. And that is why we've seen this result of things in America dying off, including businesses. And now we're having this problem with people getting back to work because of government overspending. So, the reaction here from government officials, they've been able to learn from mistakes. They've been able to watch some of the decisions that were made over the past year, what to do, what not to do. And a lot of them seem like they just want to repeat doing the same things that didn't work last time around to move forward with defeating the virus this time around. And so it's one thing to give people the benefit of the doubt the first time around, of course. It's something, it was a pandemic, global pandemic. We didn't know a lot about it, but we do know a lot about it now. And it's all about personal risk. People are allowed to not see this through a political lens and to look at their own health record and say, and evaluate whether it's a good decision for them to get the vaccine or not, and how much risk they are willing to deal with this new strain of the virus and what they are willing to sacrifice to do that, because we have the vaccine, which, according to the CDC, protects people from this disease in a serious sense.
So last few seconds, both of you. CDC, Katie Pavlich, masking, good decision, bad decision? I know it's coming, but I thought I'd ask.
It's a terrible decision.
Oh, really?
Hoagie? It's a terrible decision.
It's a terrible decision. You're right. They've lost all credibility. 75 million people in this country are under the age of 18. About 330 have died because of COVID. 809 have died because of pneumonia in the past year. So they are completely lying to you on what it does to children. They've ruined an entire year of this country's livelihood, shutting down businesses that'll never come back, hurting children. The rates of depression and suicide have skyrocketed. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I think if they push for more masking and mandates on that, I am telling you right now, the American people aren't just going to say no, they're going to say hell no.
But I think
and a vast majority of the people say, 72% actually in a recent poll said they are against the mandatory masking. There were only 65% of the people against TARP, Larry. This is way more unpopular than anyone ever thought before because they've lost all credibility.
TARP, for people not as smart as Hogan, was the bailout of the banks in the 2008.
It's Fox Business, Larry. It's Fox Business. Your crowd gets TARP.
I understand. That's why you're such a star. I will say this, kids,
Larry
though.
knows
I will say this. The big battle is going to be to stop these blue states, California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, from shutting down everything again. They're going to. The risk is they use this CDC decision to just go back. The teachers' union, you can see it now, and that'll ruin this country. That will just wreck this country.
It will.
Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks to both of you. Appreciate it. Katie Pavlich and Hogan
Thanks,
Gidley.
Larry.
All right.